Hey, everybody. My name's Jason. I'm 53 years old, and I have prostate cancer that's metastasized to my spine. And on this channel, we talk about it. So today, we've got a fantastic guest on board for an interview. He's a fitness professional. He's an author, an actor, and so much more. I'm going to bring him on the show and introduce him right after the intro. See you in a bit.
Welcome to Prostate Cancer, the road to recovery with Jason Stone, a stage 4 fighter. This podcast brings you support and insights from survivors, fighters, and medical experts. Join us for an educational and inspiring journey.
All right, welcome. So today we've got Clark Bartram. I'm going to just read from my prompt here because this man has done so much, I couldn't memorize all this if I wanted to. He's known as America's most trusted fitness professional. He started as a U.S. Marine and became a fitness icon over the last 30 years. He's appeared on over 130 fitness magazine covers, had TV roles, film roles, and best-selling books. He specializes in coaching men over 50, offering natural testosterone-boosting methods and weight loss. The reason we're talking with him today is because about 5 months ago, is that right, Clark? About 5 months?
It's a little bit longer than that now. It's been about 9 months.
9 months. 9 months ago, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He runs a nonprofit called Check It Like a Man, where he advocates for PSA level awareness, and he's working on a documentary about his journey. So, Clark, thank you for joining us today.
Jason, thank you, my brother. And I'm already all in with your introduction and learning where you're at, man. I feel like I'm on the freshman team, if you know what I'm saying.
I'm below freshman. I'm still trying to put together how to do some of this stuff. I'm still new to all this. I just started my journey, of course, last year. I think we're on about the same time frame, actually. It's so just wild.
How quickly did you learn that yours metastasized? Was it right away?
No, because I'm only 53, I kept getting the message, hey, you're young, it's not going to be bad. Hey, you're young, we're just going to cut it out. And then we did, they were considering not even doing the MRI. It's like, well, I'd like to get a scan. And so we did the scan and like, well, we have some spots of concern, but I don't think we're going to worry about those. And then it just kept escalating. And after the PSMA PET scan, there was no going back. And then I did a biopsy on my L1 on my spine because I was like, maybe it's an old injury that's showing up. Maybe it's some other type of cancer. Maybe these are completely unrelated. And so we biopsied the spine too, which, yeah, is better than the other biopsy. We'll talk about your biopsy story here in a little bit, as you and I had similar experiences, and not all men experience a bad biopsy, but man, I don't ever want to go through that again.
No, it's definitely not comfortable in any way, shape, or form. The fact that you're laid up there in the fetal position and they're shoving what looks like a child's toy up your butt, and they show you this long, skinny cylinder that's going to go in there and take up 12 random samples, hope that they find the worst of the worst. And it's an evolving science. And that's a very loose term, I would say, that know as well as I do, that these guys, I just was at one of the leading prostate oncologists today. And to your point about seeing things light up in other areas than your prostate, he was mentioning what radiologists had talked to me about, the fact that they saw spots on my ribs. They're like, well, most every guy has spots on his ribs, and I had broken ribs before and a lot of trauma to my ribs being tackled and things like that. It's just to be expected. There's some calcium deposits there. So his hope is that those spots are nothing, and then it's still centralized within the prostate. And we're actually sending out my samples to UCLA and getting a
awesome
evaluation of where I'm at.
That's freaking awesome. That is super awesome. So before we get into the cancer stuff, we already did a little bit, but I've got to talk about something else. If you are at all a Batman fan and haven't yet seen the 2003 Batman Dead End, then you have to watch it. It's the comic book Batman brought to life. So spoiler alert. Do I do a spoiler here?
You do whatever you want. It's your show.
It's he starts off fighting the Joker, but as you can see from the poster behind him there, he may not end up finishing with the Joker. It's a nice clash, and I've got a little short 12 seconds clip from it here. obviously I didn't catch your, I just realized now I didn't capture any sound with that, but it would have been ominous. It would have been awesome.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
scene right there, Jason, was almost accidental in a way, where that cape did what that cape did. And that became one of the most iconic shots out of that little short film that we did. The cape was made out of this latex, and it was a very heavy latex, because I had two different capes. One when I was on the roof and it was blowing in the wind with big fans, and that one was meant to be laid out there. But because it had been raining, right, in the scene, the ground was wet and the latex stuck. And when I stood up, it just pulled up perfectly. And
oh, wow.
Cut. Everyone went literally batshit crazy. And it became a thing, right? That little 8 minutes turned into something that altered the course of my life for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when I got the email saying, "Hey, we're thinking about collaborating here," I was like, "Clark Bartram, Batman Dead? No way!" Because the only scene I remembered from the movie was that scene. I'd seen it before and it was awesome, but that scene was so iconic that it stuck with me for, well, it's been 20 years. 20
Yeah,
plus
it's
years.
amazing the life that thing has taken on. It's phenomenal. So I'm very honored to have been the Batman.
Yeah. That's cool. So your fitness experience is incredible, and you have helped so many men achieve high testosterone levels, which support high fitness levels. And there's a good study out there, because that can cause some worry when we're talking about prostate cancer. But there's a really good study out there that squashes the idea that higher testosterone levels leads to higher chance of prostate cancer. Those are completely unrelated. So anybody out there worrying about that, those are two different things. Any cell can go malignant, and it doesn't matter how much testosterone you have in your system. It's about the prostate. It's about the cells. And we have cells in our body go malignant all the time, and our body just has a natural cleanup system. In one of your videos, you talk about trying to get under the hood. We're going to get a little more into that, but trying to figure out why didn't your body clean up the malignancy? So I kind of see a sort of a new market for you for fitness programs, because men like me, so I'm doing the testosterone reduction treatment path. I'm doing the ADT. And I'm going to be looking to recover my levels after this, because it's not somewhere I want to stay. It's part of my path for, because I've got the metastatic site, I'm looking to be curative. And so I went the full 100% as far as whatever I could do to get after this. But are you looking to maybe create a specialized prostate cancer testosterone recovery program? And there might be a whole niche market here.
I am now. Because it is so serendipitous that we're having this conversation. And the reason I'm late is because I was in Marina Del Rey with Dr. Mark Scholes. I don't know if you've ever seen PCRI.
I have. I've got them linked on my site.
Okay, so I was just with him today, and I asked him specifically about testosterone and prostate cancer. And there's a lot of misinformation with that subject. And the first one being that testosterone absolutely 100% does not cause prostate cancer. Then what I learned today, contrary to what I thought I knew prior to having this appointment today, was that additional amounts of testosterone do not increase the rate at which your cancer would grow or spread beyond that. So I'm at 601 naturally, because that's what I do, is I help men boost their testosterone levels naturally. So even if I thought I could never do anything before, but the opposite is true in the sense that what you're doing with respect to the androgen deprivation therapy, that will in fact shrink your tumor. So it's really kind of an inverse relationship with the testosterone conversation. And it's fascinating to me because it's so confusing, and people are so misinformed and misdiagnosed and all of these things, man.
I see so many I get comments like, "Hey, you're going to be I'm still the same man. I've been on this for going on 7 months now, over 6.5 months. I just don't have testosterone. All it is I just don't have. I have a lot of fatigue. I don't have the energy levels. I'm getting some of those. In another video you described, the menopause symptoms, going through hot flashes and stuff like that. So I'm experiencing some of that, but that's going to go away once I stop. And right now, my plan is that I'm going to be on it until August, and then we're going to go on a break and see what happens. And with that, I'm hopefully going to be dealing with the cancer and getting rid of it. That's my goal. I'm trying to do as much as I can to ensure my body is cleaning up the garbage, right? Because it takes more. You had a video where you talked about the check engine light as an analogy, and you said a lot of men let their anxiety decide their treatment. That's incredibly true. I was still in shock for months and months after I'd already decided. And then I started to slowly come out of shock and realize, man, was I in the right headspace to make that decision? But with where I'm at, my prognosis seemed to point toward what my plan was going to be. The worse your situation is, the narrower your options get, I guess is what I'm saying. But you were able to sort of sidestep all of that and choose your treatment a lot more boldly. How were you able to kind of get into the right mindset to do that?
Years and years of training in the mindset space, because I coach guys, and my 5 principles are mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. And you've seen enough of my stuff to know that I have an ad out that says, I lead from my seat, or from my feet, not from my seat. So if I'm asking a guy to do something, I'm already doing it. So the mindset piece, I do what I ask my guys to do. Get up in the morning, turn off the news, all of these things that are going to bolster your resolve to accomplish whatever goal you set out to accomplish. So the second I got the diagnosis, I was literally sitting right here, but turned this way. My wife was back here. I heard we found cancer. I leveled up immediately because I knew it was an opportunity for me to step into a space. And now it's even widened with your great suggestion of having a very focused coaching program for guys like you, because even Dr. Scholes said to me, I don't have anything like this. And my mind was, I need to team up with this guy. So the way I see it now, the funnel is, he has these men who've gone through ADT. You are there. You see this guy online. I have it too. I had it too. Whatever. I could get your T levels back, even if you get on T, because there are certain things you need to do with lifestyle intervention that would require this process, even if you're not on HRT or any of the things after you come through what you're coming through right now. So yeah, it's there in my mind. It's going to happen. That's
awesome.
But I need to define it more so guys know I'm the prostate guy who helps you get your teeth back.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I'm on a channel or a group called the Reluctant Brotherhood, and we have very open discussions. Reluctantbrotherhood.org. I recommend you check them out. Where there's Zoom calls many nights of the week. I like the Wednesday evening one. It's pretty raw. But we talk about, hey, we do check-ins? How's everybody doing? And, they talk about, well, I've been off of ADT for a year now. My testosterone levels are about coming up to half of where they were at. And I'm like, man, because this does physically change me forever a little bit. But I'm hopefully going to do the right things and recover back to at least where I was. Mine before my baseline going into this was 441, which isn't completely horrible, I don't think, for a 53-year-old. I felt pretty good. I was really strong. I was doing a lot of good things, but I'm already starting to babble a little bit. So this is your interview. I'm doing more talking than you are.
Well, I love it because I'm learning from that. And I didn't quite answer your question with regards to how I'm treating mine. You first asked, how did I get in the mindset to do that? And it's because I've trained myself in the mindset space. So when I got the diagnosis, I leveled up and I'm like, let's go. I'm the perfect guy for this. I have a platform, but I want to show a different way to go, because immediately I went public with it. I told everybody, hey, this is what I've got. And then I got hit with the fire hose of anecdotal information that you know all too well.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody telling you shove coffee enemas up your ass to this and that and the other thing. And while it might be true,
So true.
Some, it's not true for all. So we need to slow down. So I thought, what can I do differently? So I started calling some very influential people that I know. And one of my buddies by the name of Joe Polish, who's one of the most connected people on the planet, said, Clark, there's a guy that I have who actually rented from me in one of my buildings in Scottsdale that seems to be the hub of all cancer treatment, Scottsdale, Arizona. And I connected with Dr. Tom Incledon, who is an exercise phys major from Penn State. But 30 years ago, he got into the cancer space, and he has a very unique approach, and it's doing a deep dive diagnostic to figure out what's going on inside of me. So I peed, pooped, bled, and spit into every single container more times than I could even tell you. And we now have tons of data on what is in my body that may have contributed to this. And it's not a single thing that contributes to anything. Not a single thing gets a guy overweight. Not a single thing gets a guy fit. It's a multitude of different approaches put together to bring you to one central thing. So if it's the chemical exposure that I had in the Marine Corps, if it's bacteria in my gut that's misproportioned, if it's parasites, all of these things together, plus stress of the world and stress of all, that's the number one single most important thing of all, is the stress factor. And we could do a whole show on that. But anyway, that's what I'm doing, is really discovering that, while at the same time I'm managing the standard of care world and talking to radiologists and brachytherapy guys and telling the HDT guys to fuck off. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I've told them all, literally.
Yeah, I know. I saw you on your video.
You know, I'm sorry you're on that path, but your situation, like everybody's, is different. We just have to treat it accordingly. So
yep,
good for
every
you for
path.
all in.
Every path is different, and every choice everybody has to choose based on all those different external circumstances. And you're right. You nailed it with saying stress can be a significant contributor to the body's just inability to break down the bad stuff, get the bad stuff out. One of the things that really, really amazed me with you in an interview you did with Generation Iron Fitness, I was impressed by how much knowledge you had accumulated so quickly after your diagnosis. And you did this interview with him, looked like a guy you knew. He was a big guy you'd known for 30 years. You did a great job of talking about things like the Gleason score and all the steps in the diagnosis, which brings me to a point of frustration for many men. Your insurance denied your MRI initially, and then they denied your PSMA PET scan twice. Now, you were able to get them done, but a lot of men get told, hey, this isn't covered, and then they stop. What would you tell those guys?
Push back immediately and take your health into your hands. These doctors all care on some level, but on another level, they're running a business. It's fast paced. Things are moving very quickly. You're not the number one on their list. You're the number one on your list. So it's top of mind for you. It's not even on their mind. They forgot who you were when you left. As much as you like to think the conversation you had was so meaningful, man, they have 70 people they're seeing in a day. It's impossible for them to remember you. So with that being said, they've moved on the minute you walked out, but now you're still holding on to this information of, wow, what am I going to do? So you get information back from your insurance company, which does its best to make as much money as it can. And they say no. And now you walk away going, well, I got denied. I did that. I just kind of drug my feet. And I thought, wait a minute. And thankfully, it was my urologist that said, well, time out. We got to push back. So my urologist did me a favor, because I wasn't taking it seriously. I'm like, I'm Clark Bartram. I don't have, nothing's wrong with me. And if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have learned the lesson of, I'm in control. Yeah. They owe me, because I've invested into them every single month. And if I push back and say, no, I'll have an attorney over there, and it will never come to that. They'll get you in, because for God's sake, you have cancer. Who's going to deny that? No one wants that on their hands.
Sometimes they're just denying a little bit just to minimize the amount that they have to do, or whatever their reasons are. But you'd also mentioned that sometimes it's because they looked in the system and then there wasn't an availability at that machine at that day. So you can always go in and request, hey, no, I really want this, and I don't care where you send me. I need to go anywhere. I'll travel to go get this PSMA PET scan. And pushing back is a huge part of this. But so many men don't know to do that. So I really appreciate that information. Now, you went right into action after your diagnosis, and you started a not-for-profit called Check It Like a Man, right there. Check It Like a Man, be responsible. And you've got a website going for that. You've got a fundraiser, and there we go. Fundraiser.com. Check It Like a Man. So that's awesome. You're able to get the word out through an organization like this and help men understand what they need to know about getting checked. In fact, I love your 3-letter 5-minute test. 3 letters, 5 minutes. Get tested, and you offer kits to help men check not just PSA, but all your cholesterol levels and testosterone free and all these different things. So with this fundraiser and this organization you've got, what kind of things are you looking to do with that going forward?
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say is yesterday we became official. We are now truly a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that anyone who donates can get a complete tax write-off for it. So what I'm going to be doing with the funds is this. I will fly anywhere. We're also producing a documentary. I would go in, sneak my phone in to different appointments to doctors while my wife was like, that's illegal. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's my medical records that I'm talking about. I'll record anything I want to record. And you, again, can take control. And that's something else I want to say really quickly to men. If you go in to an appointment for this, you need someone with you, or you need to record that. Because you will not be able to comprehend what's coming at you because you're in shock, for one. You're hearing all of these new words that you've never heard. You're learning all of this new information that you never thought you would need to learn. So your wife should be there, and she should be recording it so you can go back and watch it again together and say, what does this mean? What does that mean? And then when you hear things, you can now reference podcasts like this and understand, well, maybe I don't want to go get a random biopsy, right. We'll talk about that. But so we're funding a documentary. We're funding me traveling all over the place. We're funding websites and different things. I don't know exactly what it's all going to go towards because every single day something new comes at me. Like now it could be creating a new platform to where I'm helping guys do the testosterone thing. So it's my desire with Check It Like a Man is to be the Susan J. Komen of prostate cancer. I want people to, when they think of prostate cancer, I want them to go, oh, check it like a man. Have you ever seen that one guy, Clark Bartram? The buff guy that's always on the internet talking about boosting. He got it, and he's got a foundation. That's the conversation I want to have because I know, man, Jason, that guys relate to me because on some level they're like, man, I want to get fit. I want to get ripped. But if that guy got it, I can get it. So I need to get in front of everybody that I can get in front of. And that costs money.
It does. You've got a lot of relatable content out there. You got a lot of relatable programs, and you're very invested in everything you do, which is incredible. Because we don't see that with a lot of the internet fitness gurus. Oftentimes, you are a real one that is truly You're doing Zoom calls every week and group calls every month, and that is so fantastic. I look forward to seeing what you're able to do with this. So if for those out there, if you're able to donate, at least check out the website. At least go there and take a look at it. It's fundraiser, RAZR.com. Check it like a man. Yeah.
We got a $10,000 donation today from my buddy Nick Sansone from Sansone Realty Group in St. Louis. He said, Clark, as soon as you get your 501c3, I'm going to send you some money. And I woke up today. He's like, hey, brother, I just sent you 10 grand. And
wow.
There are other companies. Yeah. So I have a big network, and I'm leaning into that network to say, hey, can you help me out on this mission? Because again, when I met with Dr. Scholes, I've been watching this guy on YouTube forever, right? And
Yeah.
I am now in his presence, and I'm like, this is really a cool opportunity. And when he started saying things to me similar to what you were saying, like, you're in a really good space because of who you are in the fitness industry. And he was really very complimentary of me regarding my desire and willingness to be like the face of this situation we find ourselves in. And something else I'm trying to do, Jason, is change the vernacular around this situation. I don't like the words that are being used in the cancer space. I want to shift it around because I think sometimes it disempowers us with regards to the power that we truly have as humans to work through situations that we're faced with in life.
And we need this word not just to get the guys out there, but the doctors too. So prior to 2019, the standard for PSA tests was don't do them unless you absolutely have to. And that was because the government got involved and said, hey, we're getting too many unnecessary biopsies. There's too many infections. There's too many men with incontinence issues now. And we think it's this PSA test. Well, the government didn't know what they were doing. Surprise. And we ended up with the mortality rate going up. More men were dying from prostate cancer in the early 2000s. And it's just crazy that was because the government said, don't do the PSA test. So we're back out of that. We're trying to back out of that, but not all doctors are aware. I start on a phone conversation with a friend. I'm like, hey, did you get your PSA checked yet? Because I'm telling everybody. I got little business cards I pass out at work. Every time I go to visit my radiation oncologist or my medical oncologist, I leave a stack of them on the front desk, just trying to get the word out there. But he said, yeah, I asked my doctor for one, and he said, I'm 44. I don't need one. Well,
brother, first of all, I love you for that. And second of all, to the 44-year-old guy, tell your doctor, fuck you. I'm doing what I want. Check my PSA. You work for me. Do you not understand this?
Right.
I don't care what the standard of care guidelines say. I want this checked. If you're already getting blood checked, that's the reason they have the different tubes. I'm even learning about tiger top tubes. Who ever thought I'd known about these things in my lifetime? But with my testing, that's why I did the PSA. And for a doctor not to test, I'll give you one. My best friend in Ohio had just had a triple bypass. He went back in 6 months later to get his blood tested, and he was looking at his testosterone because he was felt lethargic and all that sort of thing. And I said, well, what was your PSA? They didn't check it. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, man.
Go back to your doctor and tell him he's stupid, because what doctor, while he's doing blood, would not throw PSA into the mix?
Yeah.
It takes no more time. I test the blood of the results that we get, the cards that we get back in. I do it. I go to the lab here. I have a place. I can walk in any day and you've seen me do my lives in there, getting my blood tested. So this is not hard, men. This is simple, and it should be done. And if your doctor tells you no, say,
get a new doctor.
I don't think you heard me, doc. You're doing it.
Yep.
And the story.
They just recently changed, in the last couple of years, it used to be they wouldn't check PSA until 60. And so a lot of doctors have that stuck in their head. They're not staying up on the current standard of care because they recently lowered that number down to 45 for all men except for African-American. For African-American who have a 4 times higher chance of getting prostate cancer, they lowered it to 40. So, but I'm seeing a lot of guys that are 36, 38, 40 that are showing up with prostate cancer in the forums and on the Facebook pages and stuff. So don't wait. If you're 30, go get it's a blood test. Like you say, just add it to everything else they're testing for, and it should be simple. And if your doctor tells you no, get a new doctor.
Yeah, it's crazy. So let's create an example here. If you're a black man has a black father who had prostate cancer, and you're 21, you should go at 21 and get tested.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Down. So why would we feel like we need to fit into this box and this guideline of, oh, no, you're not the age yet. Did you not hear me? My dad had it. I am also a black man. You know what I mean? It's so
Yep, because black men are 4 times more likely to get it. And if you have anybody in your family, if you have a brother or a father that had prostate cancer, you're 4 times more likely to get it. So, yeah, the numbers, just those stats are just incredible. And so the doctors that are still stuck in this old mind, it's not a biopsy. You're not going to get an infection from getting your blood tested.
They have liquid biopsies now that can be done, and there's so much new science that came out since you and I were given this news.
Oh yeah,
like there are so many tests that can be done to determine different things. So we're going to now be looking at my PSA as frequently as we are. We're going to push it back to about every 2 weeks. But there's 2 more tests that Dr. Inkledon, my guy in Scottsdale, told me about that are as good as PSA to watch, because I'm almost doing the monitoring thing right now. And I asked Dr. Scholes, how long can I do this for? If my PSA stays consistent and if I even get it to go down, he said, as long as it's not metastasized into your ribs, then absolutely, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Cool. And then we're, like I told you earlier, we're resending out my tumors to these places
just for the second check, for the second opinion.
Because he told me the amount of times that they're misread and it's not as bad as they thought it was is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely embarrassing.
That sucks. I was fortunate with my radiation oncologist. I'm up in the Tri-Cities of Washington, and my radiation oncologist automatically sends it out for a second opinion. Everybody that comes through his office, he just does that. It goes out. I didn't even ask for it. I didn't know to ask for it. So this is good. If you're just starting your journey and you can go back. They still have all your labs. They still have the samples. Tell them to send it out. Tell your urologist, hey, I want this sent out for a second opinion, and they'll take care of that for you. Yeah.
It lasts for like 20 years, I learned today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. So in July of 21, you did an interview with a guy named James Laughlin, where you talked about your 5 principles, and you've already mentioned them here. But I can't imagine a better opportunity to really implement and test those 5 principles. Like those 5 principles come into play in everything you're doing, but especially in a situation like this. Do you mind revisiting those again?
Mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity are the 5 principles that I use to coach my men in my CBX Maximized Man coaching program.
That's awesome.
First one being mindset, because we live in a day and age of information. We could Google world's best diet and we'll get 50 different options, and all of them equally as good as the next if you commit to the process of doing whatever it is you chose to do. But the problem lies in the ability of the person doing it to sustain the program. So if you're doing carnivore and you're just eating red meat all the time, how long can you just eat red meat? Really? You maybe make it 3 weeks, a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Things pop up.
Yeah, I promise you, none of these guys that are doing carnivore will die doing carnivore unless they die choking on some of the meat that they're eating. You know what I mean? It's just, I know for a fact, it's all marketing and it's frustrating. So your mindset needs to be first, and then you get on whatever meal plan is good for you. And to my point a minute ago, they're all equally as good, but whichever is going to not have you have inflammation and any sort of allergic response and things like that, and that you can sustain. Movement. We got to move, and we have to move in ways that are going to help boost our testosterone naturally. And then community is huge. You mentioned a couple communities you're in now. You need to be supported by like-minded people who you can learn from and get yelled at by and encourage and call and find out where they're at. All of these things you do now because you developed a community. I always say this: professional athletes don't miss getting hit in the ribs when they throw a pass. They miss going into the locker room saying, dude, you missed your block. What's up, bro? You know, and that's what they miss. That's community. Yeah. Right? So from there, and then integrity in how you're living your life with respect to how you're treating your body. Are you drinking? Are you doing all these things that you know you shouldn't be doing? And then integrity in life and business. And that's part of where the stress comes from. If you're lying, cheating, stealing, and all these sort of things, it has to manifest somewhere, somehow, some way. and it manifests differently in different people. So I believe that the reason I'm in my situation is because of manifestation of stress that was not outwardly seen by anybody else. And it wasn't manifesting in me gaining weight or having skin issues or fibromyalgia, which is a lot of how that manifests.
Yeah.
So I believe it manifests in these cells that were mutating and getting,
Yeah, your body just didn't have the health at that time because of the stress, because of the stressors were impacting your body's ability to heal and recover from these minor malignancies that happen all the time. Yeah. So you have talked a couple of times about like food and health and what you're putting into your body and the whole getting under the hood and the check engine light's great. But don't make all your decisions just off of that. Get in and figure out what's going on. And you have, so you said your cancer is confined to the prostate right now. And so you are taking a slightly slower approach. You were able to step back and say, okay, what is really going on here? You got, radiation oncologists will tell you need radiation, and urologists that are surgeons will tell you need surgery, and everybody's selling something, right? And so you have stepped back and said, hey, I'm going to figure out what's going on with me before I do this. And so you're taking some supplements, you're checking your PSA weekly, going to biweekly, it sounds like. Have you had any success with getting your PSA to start lowering on your own? That's awesome.
Yes.
So I think when you were diagnosed, you said it was 9.8.
Yeah.
Where are you at now, if I can ask?
So when you get a biopsy, that traumatizes your prostate, and typically you're going to jump up 5. Yeah, you're going to jump up 5, 6 numbers on that. So when I came back from that, I started really monitoring at about 14. I'm down to 10.
Okay.
And it went up a little bit last week, but I think I might know the reason why it went up a little bit.
Okay.
It's PSA is a finicky thing that you need to do. And, you can't ejaculate prior to it. You can't ride a bike. You shouldn't probably drink coffee before you go in, because that creates some inflammation in the prostate. That's why we pee more when we drink coffee. Yeah. So you really want to kind of do it at the same time too. It's almost like weighing yourself. You want to measure your weight at the same time. So going in randomly to get these PSA scores, I've learned, isn't the right way to do it. So I'm going to start going first thing in the morning upon awakening. That's when your testosterone's at its highest. That's when you're just coming off of a fast and you're settled and rest. Don't drink coffee. Make sure you're hydrated. And again, no sex, no masturbation or anything for a couple days prior to it. Don't ride any bikes or anything like that. And then you'll get a pretty good measurement. So if you stay consistent with that, then you'll know where you're at. So yeah, I've come down. I feel very proud about that.
That's awesome. There's a lot of things, like you say, the well-intended people start throwing a bunch of stuff, do these mushrooms, put tomato sauce on everything. And I took a good look at all the different advice I got. I picked out some that I thought were more beneficial than others. And I got my PSA to drop like a rock. I got it down to 0.008 in 3 weeks. And that was after also starting the treatment. So that's combined with the Lupron and the Zytiga. But even men that do the Lupron and the Zytiga, they're looking at 3 or 4 months to get down to that low, or even 6 months. And so I know that some of the stuff I'm doing is working, but like you say, those are individual. Everything is different for every people. The one plug I'll make is tomato sauce. Holy smokes. Lycopene in tomatoes is hugely beneficial. Of all the things I do, that's the one I really, really go after a lot. And I think I credit that with dropping my PSA levels.
A lot of tomatoes myself. Have you tried Pectisol?
I have not. So that's the citrus?
Citrus pectin, modified citrus pectin. This, I believe. So my doctor, Tom Incledon, sent a version of this to me from this econogenics company, and I highly attribute what I'm seeing in my PSA droppage to this, because I've looked at the research, and the research indicates, and Dr. Scholes said, yes, I love it. My guy sent it to me. I talked to another doctor. So there seems to be this thread of belief that modified citrus pectin it's almost like a mild chelation, where you're pulling out some of these heavy metals that are in all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, if you brush your teeth with the same toothpaste you brushed it with when you were a little kid, you have high levels of chemicals in your body that could absolutely contribute to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. I'm going to show everybody here a little. I put together a website of information. It's called Prostate Cancer, The Road to Recovery. And on here, I've got a bunch of links. I've got something my oncologist's books. He's got some great information there, recipes based on, but this research links, when I go in and I look at stuff, I save. I just tend to, I don't know. It's how I do things. I save all my research as citations so I can go back and visit it again. So if you're curious about what studies are out there, anybody watching this research link is fantastic. It gives you a lot of great information. And on my links, I have PCRI. That's the first website I link. So this is the guy you're going to, like the guy, Dr. Scholl, you see him face to face. That's awesome.
Yeah.
On here, I have some links to other guys that are going through prostate cancer, and I've added. You see here, Clark Bartram. You made the page, and on here, based on another video, I put down that you have chosen radiation instead of surgery, but that's not the whole story, right?
Not yet. Being written.
So you are holding off on the radiation. Is that correct? And seeing what you can do with this other information, what you can put together, and watch your PSA. And so you're in kind of a semi-monitoring. You're self-driving. But so what do you think about the radiation? Is that for sure? Or is it something you're holding your breath on?
Ideally, it wouldn't be for sure. Ideally, I could continue along the path I'm doing with Dr. Incledon, and we find something in my body that we can eliminate that all of a sudden allows my immune system to overcome those cancerous cells. That's ideally the situation. And if we really look at the body is capable of doing that. I just don't think we're patient enough to allow it the process of doing it. We want everything right now and right away. So that's why we rush to get it ripped out. A buddy of mine got diagnosed. He's like, I just wanted to get it out of me right away.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get your idea behind that, but man, you didn't even give your body a chance to heal on its own. Like, we get cut, we heal. Yep. Something breaks in half, we heal. A knee can go like this and it heals. What makes cancerous cells any different than any other part of our body?
Yeah, you know? It doesn't, because when I went to the doctor with some symptoms, some physical symptoms down there, I also had a couple of sores. I had a sore up here on my bicep and a sore right here on my forehead. The scar's finally gone. That they wouldn't heal. It had been 6 months, and my body stopped healing for whatever reason. And I think it was inflammation. I think it was stress. It was not doing good things for my body. I was drinking more. I was eating really, really poorly. And so now I've taken those things and eliminated the stress, eliminated the inflammation, eating better, and my body's gone back to healing itself. So that, to me, the outward, when I get a cut or a scratch, I got a tiny little scratch here right now, and it's healing like it used to. So I know my body's doing what it needs to do to recover from this.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great. And that's just an example of what I'm talking about. We need to be patient with these things and go for it. So with respect to radiation, what I learned today was there's a possibility that I could do focal therapy with the radiation. So I'm looking at brachytherapy with Dr. Stephen Kurtzman, who I learned about from PCRI, and I went and talked to him and interviewed him, and he's in my documentary. So if I can do, if it comes to this, if I can do a small amount of radiation focally in my prostate and spare every other part of it and not have to get as much radiation, then that's certainly the route I want to go, because I'm telling everyone no on the hormone deprivation. It's just not something I'm interested in. But if I have to do external beam radiation as well, that's something that we're looking at. So brachytherapy, external beam. I get called from California Protons literally every 2 weeks. It's almost like you went to a used car lot and you looked at something, took it for a test drive, and the salesman needs to close a deal before the end of the month. That's honestly how it feels.
Yeah.
And
well, that's an expensive treatment. I mean, that's $100,000 or something, whereas like a PSMA PET scan is in the 20,000s. It's definitely expensive treatment. Sometimes they need to get the cases in that'll pay for it to make up the money they spent on the equipment.
Yeah.
But I did an episode. I had a friend that had prostate cancer 12 years ago, and he went straight for I want it out, cut it out of my body, and he went straight for the surgery. Now, he's one of the lucky ones. He doesn't have any incontinence issues. He said he wore a diaper for part of one day and said, screw that, I'm not wearing a diaper. And he recovered from the surgery. Not all men are, unfortunately, as lucky as him. But I did an interview with him now 12 years later, because his PSA started climbing a little bit again. Now, he, like you, has said, you know what? Because the doctor immediately said, okay, let's go in and go after it with radiation. And he's like, I want to try and fix this on my own. And he has successfully gotten his PSA back down. So he's monitoring it and doing it that way. But in this interview, he said something interesting. He said, if he was starting his journey today, he's not sure he would go for surgery. With radiation advancements, what they are, he thinks he would pick radiation over surgery. So what led you to pick radiation over surgery?
Watching Dr. Scholl's and him not having any dog in the race, he says, I would never recommend that a man get surgery. And I'm like, good enough for me, because I don't want my abs getting cut into, whether it's a microscopic hole or whatever it is. This is how I make my money. I like to keep my stuff intact. And then, radiation got a bad name because 40 years ago, they were burning people's buttholes with it. And it said, who wants their butthole burned up? Nobody. But
nope.
Man, this science evolves. And I don't want anyone to think that I'm not for standard of care. Thank God for these physicians. Thank God for this technology. Thank God for all the new research that's coming out all of the time. It just doesn't mean that I'm forced to go that direction.
Right.
And I think a lot of people feel like they are. And any good doctor will tell you, hey, I'm here to help you. All I want to do is educate you. This is your choice. Yeah, I got bills to pay. Yeah, I got to keep these lights on and pay these employees. But don't let me affect your decision. If you want surgery, I think I'm pretty damn good. But I'll give you a couple other interviews. That's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that. I'm lucky enough to have had doctors that did that. Not everybody is. Some have these archaic doctors that are just, let's just cut it out. That's what they do. It's worked for them because they don't have to, live with the side effects. But when you're doing the surgery, your prostate, about that low. Everybody's prostate is bigger. I know a guy on the Reluctant Brotherhood who has a monstrous prostate. I mean, it's the size of a frickin' baseball, and because they measure it by volumes, right? But generally, they're about that long, and so they have to cut at the top, cut at the bottom, and remove that. And what's going through there is your urethra, which goes out your penis, right? That's where you pee out of and stuff. So your urethra runs right through the prostate, and then they stitch that back up. That may not heal completely perfectly, and so it leaks, and you lose obviously some length. You lose a lot of there's a lot of risk with that. So, but I didn't have enough time to decide, and for me it was off the table once we found out it had metastasized, because going after it with surgery doesn't actually cure me or do anything, because I have another tumor in my spine now. So that there's no such thing as a primary tumor anymore. It's just tumors. I completely forgot where I was headed with this, but you take, so the surgery is not an option for everybody. You chose radiation because you had the ability to step back, hit pause and say, okay, I'm not making the decision today. And it sounds like it's a quality of life thing.
It really is. And that's the main reason for the HDT denial, is because that for me isn't quality of life. I don't want to go through menopause for a day. I'm not interested in that. And I know that there are other ways around this. I just know that there are. And I'm certainly not stupid to the point where if things took a turn for the worse, that I wouldn't be open to changing my mind if circumstances are dire, right? There's always an opportunity to change. But right now, where I'm at, I just want to do it with none of the standard of care. I don't even want radiation. But that's what I've locked into. So I might learn something down the road here in a couple of days that gets me off of that. Maybe it's this ultrasound therapy that they have now, which is just going in there. Maybe that will work. I don't know. I don't have enough information yet.
Yeah, they can go in there. What do they call it? Ablation. They do they can freeze it. They can with the cryotherapy. There's so many things they can do. And it's like you say, it's changing all the time. Just last year, two new treatments were approved for care. Lutetium-177, where when you do your PSMA PET scan, they're putting that sugar, right, with a radioactive element so that it gets uptaken and then lights up the cancer. Well, somebody got the bright idea, well, why don't we just stick some radioactive element that sticks on the tumor and then just radiates the tumor directly. Like, oh, well, that makes complete sense now. So they're doing that. Lutetium, it's a gamma emitter. And so they can gamma emit the radiation directly, hit the tumors.
So I got a question here on my live. It says, my doctor says I have aggressive form of prostate cancer and it has to be removed. I know now I can't do anything. Any ideas? My doctor says I have an aggressive form of prostate cancer and it has to remove most of it now. I can't do anything. Any ideas?
So it sounds like what they're saying is what the problem there is my doctor, that's singular. You need to talk to two doctors minimum. And one of them needs to be a radiation doctor and one of them needs to be a surgical doctor. So any ideas? Yeah, go get a second opinion ASAP, as soon as you can, even with the aggressive. Mine was intermediate aggressive and borderline aggressive. Like I was Gleason 7, 4+3 in most of my cores. They did 23 cores on me. Ugh. I still have PTSD with a stapler.
Wow. Yeah.
And they completely lost track of where I was going with that. I completely forgot. Oh, they get another doctor's opinion, right? Because you want to be able to say, hey, how aggressive is this really? Take a step back, like you do. You step back, engage that mental mindset of, I'm here to take care of myself first and foremost. What is the real answer here? Because just because the first doctor says, hey, surgery, and it's what we have to do, how aggressive? Right? Start asking more questions. How aggressive are we talking? That's what I was going to talk about. I did a velocity on mine. So I was checking the velocity and to see, because I wanted to know how aggressive is my cancer. When they say intermediate aggressive, what does that mean? And I didn't know what it meant. So I went after it and figured out what it meant. And I was right on the bubble of being highly aggressive. So, but maybe he said, this doctor's told this guy, you're aggressive, but maybe it's really at the bottom of intermediate aggressive. And you've got more than a few months to step back and make a decision, get a second opinion. And with radiation where it's at, I don't know. I would have a hard time going for surgery over radiation.
Yeah, I think he already had surgery. I think he already had surgery. And what he's asking is he has complete erectile dysfunction with no help from Viagra or anything like that, which sucks. And that's what I learned today from Dr. Scholes is when they say erectile dysfunction, they mean with the help of Cialis or anything, and you're still not having a reaction. So you're just done. Yeah.
So the place you can go for some help, the reluctantbrotherhood.org, go to that site and look for their Wednesday evening Zoom. They do a Wednesday evening Zoom. It's is it 5 o'clock PS? Yeah, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And just send them an email. There's an email on that website somewhere. Send them an email. Say, hey, I need a link for the Wednesday Zoom. Those guys in there have an incredible amount of help for people in your situation. You've gone through. You've done the Cialis. You're still having erectile issues. Those guys in there can help because they lived it, and there's guys that have recovered from it. The guy that runs that, John, he was completely void of all function for 2 years, and he got on this brotherhood and started talking to people. We'll try this, and he has recovered his testosterone levels. In fact, he's in the 500-600s now, and he's working out heavy, and his all function is restored. So trust your body's ability to heal. It's never permanent.
There you go. Did you hear that? So the Reluctant Brotherhood, go find them, and there's options available for you, brother. So thanks for the question. There you go. You're welcome. All right. Yeah,
good question.
We help someone, brother.
Yeah, hey, anytime we do this and we help at least one person, that's the goal, right? Yeah. If I get a video that hits 1,000 views, that's at least one person whose life has been completely changed by watching this. And like you say, 1 out of 7 men will get prostate cancer. Will get prostate cancer when they're young enough to deal with it. What they find is when guys that are dying of old age in their 80s and they're doing the autopsies on them, they've all got prostate cancer. Yeah. You will, if you live long enough, get prostate cancer. Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. I love this setup here. I love doing the live stream, but we're coming up on almost an hour now. So what message I wanted to show before we start going here. I want to show a couple of your websites here. I'm going to show just the window and roll through the tabs. We got
that's yours there.
Yeah, you've got a lot of great videos on your YouTube channel, and it's not just about the cancer. You've also got some fantastic workouts, and that's what guys like me going through in hormone deprivation therapy, we need workouts. We need things we can do because staying active is hugely important for getting over the side effects. I'm walking every day. I'm working out, doing some dumbbell workout. All I've got is dumbbells, so I'm doing some dumbbell workouts. This is your Check It Like a Man, your fundraiser. There's a lot of great information in here with the highlights and where you're at with with your goal. And so if you have the financial ability, please go to this website, this fundraiser, fundraiser.com, Check It Like a Man, and consider donating. I got your YouTube open. You also have, like I talked about a little bit, you have this program where you help men over 50 achieve higher testosterone levels. This is an option if you're coming off of ADT. I know a couple of guys that comment on my videos once in a while, and Ian, hey, love you, man. He's down in Australia, and he's about 2 years ahead of me. So he's off of the ADT now. So he's in this recovery phase. And if we don't try and come out of it aggressively, then we don't come out of it, right? Our testosterone levels will come up to the 200-300s and then stop. And we deal with the fatigue and the side effects for a year after coming off of ADT. So a program like this could be huge for helping people come out. There's an app. You've got an app out, the Maximized Man. You show some of your workouts. You do your chest one day, back, legs, shoulders, arms, and 31 sessions more. This looks like a fantastic opportunity to get some. And I don't know, I haven't heard you talk about this. Maybe this is an old thing.
No, I have my natural testosterone booster, and it's coupled with NAD3 and PA7, and then some free protein there when you order. And then my main website is clarkbartramsystems.com, which we just finished up. I'm really proud of that. And that Clark Bartram Systems has everything in one place, because this used to be the bane of my existence, having stuff everywhere. now my buddy Jeffrey Dickens just got it all fixed up for me, and I'm in one spot, so I'm really excited. But I appreciate you showing all of this, because to your point earlier, I'm already doing what we talked about. We just haven't specified. I would encourage you to join my program, get surrounded by my guys, get in that environment where we put you in the locker room and we get you working out, and we have you around. You know, we have guys, 2 guys with pancreatic cancer in the group. Another guy, matter of fact, I was just talking to one on the way home, and they're both coming through it nicely. Another guy with prostate cancer. So there are guys in the group that are going through various challenges.
That's awesome. Yeah. I consider me signed up.
All right. I'll send you when we're done.
All right.
Send you a link to get going, and we'll send you through the process. Honestly, I'd love to have you in there, because it would really, really support you in a way that you're not currently being supported, from what I've heard, with respect to what we can do to really get that muscle back, get some energy back, get that swag back that you lose when they suck you dry of your testosterone, man.
Yep. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So once again, thank you, Clark Bartram. It's been a pleasure having you with us today. Batman, I see you as Batman, which is awesome.
I love it.
And for the audience, both our audience here and your audience on your live, appreciate everybody watching. Any last words you want to tell everybody?
Check it like a man.
That's right. And you did it, which has changed from your original. It sounds like your original one was bend over, check it like a man.
Yeah, that was a little bit too long.
A little too long. I like the check it like a man.
You don't have to bend over to check your PSA. You just have to drop some blood. That's it. No finger up the butt.
Yep. It's just a finger prick. You don't have to go to a lab. It's a home kit. Send
it to you, and you self-address, stamp envelope, send it back. Good to go, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much. And thank you, Clark. It's been awesome. It's been an awesome, had the great conversation and an awesome interview with lots of good information. Love you all.